Hey, welcome everybody. How you doing? This is Evan Park. I'm going to be your host for tonight, and welcome to Kinetic Sessions. That song you just heard was Gabriel Shakaji, playing Hymns to Freedom by Oscar Peterson. We thank you for coming out and spending time with us tonight. We have assembled a wonderful group of artists here to just bless you and just really encourage you tonight. We know that everybody, all of us, living in very challenging times. We don't really have to really tell you how challenging. We can just see it on the news. We feel it in our own lives. It's unprecedented in so many ways in our lifetime, dealing with a pandemic, dealing with a lot of the social unrest that has gone down in the last few days, and that kind of lends the lens sort of the strength to what our theme is tonight. Our theme is giving voice to hurt, healing, and hope. And that's what these artists are here to do. Giving voice to hurt. People are hurting. And it's human to hurt. We're dealing with a time where people are dealing with a lot of challenges, not just in society, but also personally. And it's human to feel that way. It's human, and we should lament those hurts. A lament is a passionate expression of grief or sorrow. But we can't stay hurt forever. We got to go from hurt to healing. Healing is important. Healing is important for renewal, for restoration, for just proper sustainability in our lives as a human family, in the human family. But you know something? You can't get to healing unless there's hope. Hope is a bridge to that. So you need the presence of hope. So we want to give you that tonight through these artists. And we hope you feel it. We hope you move. We hope you're inspired. So as we go into this evening, a couple of things. At the end of the night, the final card, you're going to see the social media for all the wonderful artists you're going to see tonight. So you can follow them on social media. You can support them. You can also follow Kinetic New York here at Facebook Live, here on Facebook, our Facebook page, Kinetic NY, or follow our website, follow us on Instagram as we continue to bring out more programs and just opportunities to really be a blessing to the community through good times and bad. So before we introduce our first artist, I want to first have us take a moment of silence. There's no secret to most in the nation what the nation has just gone through, the deaths of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery. So before we get into our program, I just want to take a moment of silence to remember them at this time. Now, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first guest, first artist, Mr. Philip Allen Jr. Philip Allen Jr. is a pastor, an author, a teacher. He's also a filmmaker who completed his first documentary, his first film, Open Wounds. You can get more information on that on his website, also on openwounds.com. You can follow there, get to see his trailer. He's originally from South Carolina, now resides in Los Angeles area. Now, Phil's a man driven by vision. He has a vision that desires to see all people thrive. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you Mr. Phil Allen Jr. doing My Body Tells a Story.
Thanks, Evan. This piece that I'm going to do is thinking about what happened to George Floyd, what happened to Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, what happened to their bodies, their lives. But it's also something that I do before I show my film, because what happened to them happened to my grandfather in 1953. And I realized for me that one way that I heal, or two ways that I heal, is one, in community, where I have a space to share and grieve, and someone shares that with me, and also when I write. So I hope this blesses you. My body tells a story. How do you grieve so you can heal? When the bully has the pen, the badge, the camera, the guns, and the gavel, and they all travel. They touch your life after touching your father's and your grandfather's and your grandfather's father. How do you find peace when the message is that you're a legal target? Do you find the buildings to burn them down? While destruction allows me to feel, it doesn't necessarily heal. Do you find the streets to march on? Well, that's been done before, so now we kneel. And we're still here. I've learned to tell my story. If someone is willing to listen, the story of pain and trauma tucked away in its silence, suffocating me. This is a story about my body, Black bodies. Our bodies are the fruit of our history. The trauma I carry is the fruit of history too. It's no mystery how I navigate spaces, particularly white spaces. I duck and dodge labels and stereotypes. Sometimes I try to be invisible to avoid the gaze. Sometimes I position myself for maximum visibility because that's where I may feel safe. And because frankly, there are some spaces that Black bodies actually need to be seen, felt, and heard. There are some spaces that Black bodies embody a word, a hard prophetic word. Like the word of Black feet walking as Black bodies boycotted Montgomery buses. Like the word seen in a sea of Black bodies crossing Edmund Pettus Bridge. Like the word seen in Kaepernick mimicking King kneeling in protest to the obscene treatment of other vulnerable Black bodies. My body tells a story that not everyone wants to hear. It will force you to cringe from its intro through its chapters into the conclusion of its narrative. It's a song that will make some dance, some lament, and some close their ears. My body is a chorus in itself, a refrain that sounds like a repetition of cries to some and a beautiful melody to others. But my body isn't alone. There are other Black bodies, brown bodies, yellow bodies, and white bodies that join mine, like connected limbs formed by the divine. The ligaments that connect us all are made of the trauma that inflicts us all, as these bodies have all been weakened by the chokehold of a racialized world. Even though some may not know it at all, but they can be strengthened by radical solidarity between us all. In resistance to the invisibility of the historically and notoriously white power structures that may not have hands, but they emit toxins that murder us all. As King says, we are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. But I begin to heal when you listen to me, when you acknowledge that you see me, when I become a mirror to you, and you can imagine the person and the trauma in that body, and you say, this could be me. Instead of contrasting, you see the comparison, man. I need you like the Samaritan man. I need your compassion to risk sitting with me and help mend my wounds. But I need your anger too, at the conditions of the road that makes it conducive for me to be wounded in the first place. If you pray for me, that's beautiful. But that just gets me to first base. I need you to play the game like when you come up to bat, like you're trying to get me all the way home safe. Because if actions don't accompany your prayers, then it's nothing more to me than dead faith. Listen to my body's story, my father's body's story, my grandmother's body's story, my grandfather's body's story, my family's collective body's story, my people's communal body's story. Then listen to your own body's response to our body's stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Phil Allen Jr. My body tells a story. It's interesting. Phil went from my body to our body and connected. And this is one of the reasons why we're here tonight, how we're all connected. You know, how when my body's affected, so is yours. And so, you know, is the next person's body. And so how we got to take care of each other and how that trauma is not in a vacuum. Thank you. Thank you, Phil Allen Jr. We appreciate that. We go on to our next artist, and something real special about this artist today. Her name's Miss Carrie Wallace. Miss Carrie Wallace, what's so special about Miss Wallace today is this is the day she was born. Today is Miss Carrie Wallace's birthday. So we want to definitely say shout out to Carrie right now for her birthday, and also the fact that she is here spending time with us on her birthday. So Carrie is an author and an educator. She's from Chelsea, Michigan, and she makes her home in New York. Now, some of her work as an author include The Blind Contessa's New Machine, The Ghost in the Glass House, and most recently, like last month, she released her newest book, Stories of the Saints, bold and inspiring tales of adventure, grace, and courage. You can find that book on Amazon, and I'm sure she can also sell you that book, but you can definitely find it on Amazon. Now, Carrie is joined tonight by Juan Carlos Duray Banuelos, reading the poem that he wrote. She's going to read it in English. He's going to read it in Spanish. She's going to read it in English. The name of the poem is Silence. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Carrie Wallace and Mr. Juan Carlos.
Thank you so much, Evan, and thank you to everyone who's joining us tonight. What Evan is leaving out of that introduction is that actually we're doing a series of videos for Stories of the Saints that Evan has done some amazing readings of. So you can check that out at Stories of the Saints on YouTube. It's our own little channel there. But I want actually to spend a little bit of time introducing Juan Carlos, whose poem we're going to be featuring tonight. And as I was thinking about what I might read after Evan invited me, my friend Juan Carlos wrote this very beautiful poem in Spanish and posted it on Facebook, and I read the translation into English on Facebook and loved it so much that I started tinkering with it myself to see if I could turn it into a poem in English as well. And so what we're going to do tonight, as Evan said, is I'm going to introduce him, and he will read the original in Spanish, and then I'll follow with the version in English. And to introduce Juan Carlos, he asked me to share that he is a person who has learned that the best way to cure the best cure to overcome what oppresses us is to go beyond implacable logics. From his earliest childhood, he has known persecution from a dictatorial regime. His mother was exiled at a young age, and both his mother and father were persecuted and tortured. Juan Carlos is a lawyer and writes in his blog about poetry, philosophy, ethics, and politics. He is currently collaborating on research in Latin America, and he came to the United States 2 years ago for love. And Juan Carlos has also served in the government of Paraguay, where he's from. And so I thought it was especially significant that in this time, reacting to the events that are happening around this country and around the world, in reaction to the things that are happening in this country, he reached for poetry as a central response for him, not because it's a replacement for real action, but because he sees poetry and the arts as a form of one of the most important forms of real action. And when I asked him to be part of this, he wrote me, "We need to use our magma for building other kinds of constituting imaginations." So without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you Juan Carlos Duray Banuelos.
Hello. And this is the poem, El silencio. A veces es necesario. A veces pasa desapercibido porque está lleno de imperceptible normalidad. A veces solamente es debido al sometimiento. A veces es un instrumento de supervivencia. Nadie puede negar la utilidad del silencio. Pero a veces también es imposible mantenerlo o guardarlo. A veces algo que puede encontrarse inclusive en los formularios que se llenan cotidianamente se vuelve brutal y te golpea la conciencia. Por más que todo se justifique en el lodo con posiciones de odio y de guerra para buscar ganar batallas de poder absurdas, A veces hay que hablar, a veces hay que gritar, especialmente para decir basta. In my native indigenous language, Aguye PM, thank you.
Silence. Sometimes we need it. Sometimes it goes by unnoticed because it's full of the imperceptible normal. Sometimes it's only due to suppression. Sometimes it's a tool to survive. No one can deny silence has its uses, but sometimes it is also impossible to keep silent. Sometimes something that we find even in paperwork that must be filled out every day becomes brutal and begins to pound our conscience. Despite everything that is justified in the mud, with positions of hatred and war, to win absurd battles over power, sometimes we have to speak. Sometimes we have to shout, especially to say, enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm sorry, and Juan Carlos. Wow, you said something really cool and that caught me really. It says impossible. It's impossible to keep silent. Given the fact that silence has so many different values, depending on the time, depending on the context, there comes a time when it's just impossible to be silent. And sometimes you just got to cry out. Sometimes that crying out is, as I mentioned earlier, a lament, and that's fine. Because in that expression of lament, now you can get to the solution of healing. So on to the next spoken word artist that we have, Mai Perkins. Now, Mai is, now a couple things I got to say. Mai, that I cannot forget to say, Mai is a Cali girl. She's from LA. So know this. She loves New York, though. She resides here in New York. And also, she is a Howard University alumni, so she's a Bison. So any Howard University people on here, shout out to y'all. She wanted to make sure y'all know she's part of that family. Now, Mai just also recently, first of all, she's an author, she's a poet, and she's an educator, but she just recently published her first book, I think a couple years ago, but it's called The Walking Nerve Ending. Sorry, let me say that again. The Walking Nerve Ending, Poems and Reflections. And you can find that on Amazon, and you can also, that is also self-sold as well. So you can, I know she has a Facebook page with the same name. You get that information at the end. You can buy that directly from her, and we can cut out the middleman. So I want to introduce you to Mai Perkins. She's going to do Daffodils for you. Mai Perkins.
Thank you so much, Evan. I really appreciate you. I love you as my brother. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mai Perkins, as Evan said. You can follow me on Instagram at FlyMai16. And I'm going to do a poem for you entitled Daffodils. Now, if I can give you just a little bit of backstory and context to how this poem came about. Several years ago, I noticed at the start of each spring that there are always tons of daffodils blooming across the boroughs of New York City. Seeing them in every neighborhood, I finally I decided to look up why there are always bright yellow daffodils blooming every year. Well, it turns out that these daffodils are in memory of the victims of September 11th and those who lost their lives in the World Trade Center. Respect to them. So in a beautiful gesture of compassion, it started as a gift donation of over 1 million daffodil bulbs to the city of New York by the Dutch government in the fall of 2001. Daffodils symbolize hope, or a new beginning after tragedy, and survival as the blooms begin to spread and multiply annually. That donation turned into New York City's public program called the Daffodil Project, which is now the largest community planting initiative in the nation. It's really beautiful. But upon learning this backstory and this history 2 or 3 years ago, I began to wonder why no daffodils, or any other official flower for that matter, were ever planted for the Black victims of police brutality. I thought about it so much that I decided that I wanted to write a poem about it, but I couldn't find the words until this week. And so this poem is dedicated to my friend, Prince Jones, my Howard University brother, who was murdered by a Prince George's County cop in 2000, September 2000, 1 year before the 9/11 terrorist attacks. So I give you daffodils. There are no daffodils of hope for the Black bodies slain. Floral bell-shaped memorials of annual bloom. Though the pain and rally cries of true justice remain, there are no daffodils of hope for the Black bodies slain. Violence on viral loops symbolizes bloodstain. Across the US, unrest smolders and fumes. There are no daffodils of hope for the Black bodies slain. Violent murders gone viral materialize bloodstain. Agitation, pressure, de-escalate, retrain. The trauma of fatal encounters exhumed as the rage for unarmed Black victims remains, agitating the pressure to de-escalate and retrain. Demanding dignity to treat Black citizens humane. The sidewalks from Staten Island to Minneapolis, a tomb. Where are the daffodils of hope for the Black bodies slain? Demands for dignity to treat Black citizens humane. Excessive force by cops on unarmed Blacks is insane. Their badge and brute conduct a racist heirloom. Though the pain and rally cries for true justice remain, excessive force of any type on unarmed Blacks is insane. So in these streets and in these tweets, till these cops are arraigned, let's plant sustainable seeds of revolution rose blooms. Though the pain and rally cries for true justice remain, there are no daffodils of hope for the Black body slain. Thank you.
Thank you, Mai. You know something? If there was no daffodils of hope before, Mai, you just gave us some. So thankful for that, for her piece, Daffodils, for so much of the relevance, like these other pieces today, what's going on in Minnesota. But even now tonight, we're providing you of what we would like to think are virtual daffodils, giving that voice to hurt, healing, and hope. Remembering those people who suffered, that at least we can be a voice that says, yeah, that someone cares. That, yeah, you know, that artists care and have those who suffer in mind. So on to our next guest, our musical guest. Allow me to introduce Ms. Carmela Ramirez and Mr. Gabriel Shikaji. Now, Gabriel Shikaji and Carmela Ramirez, these are two phenomenal jazz artists, and they're both Latin Grammy Award nominees. Both hail from Caracas, Venezuela, and now live in New York. Carmela is a singer and composer. Gabriel is a pianist and composer who just released his last album. The last album he just released was entitled, he just released, I think, a month ago. Gabriel will probably clarify that if I'm wrong. The album is entitled New Beginning. You can find it on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So allow me to introduce to you our musical guest today doing Vengo de esta tierra, Mr. Gabriel Shikaji and Carmela Ramirez.
Nací en esta tierra que es morena con sus venas que dibuja un amarillo con su sol. Nací en esta tierra que me espera cuando llego, que tiene el Caribe con su luz. Broto de esta tierra que se quiebra en mil pedazos. pedazos y que no hacemos nada por salvar. Traigo un horizonte que se expande sin fronteras, que tiene de azul cada amanecer. Traigo un verde que se crece entre montañas, traigo soledades de mi ayer. Traigo una bandera que se quema lentamente, silenciada por la fuerza del dolor. Esta tierra necesita una ilusión, un trasplante de emoción, otra sentencia. Hoy sus hijos se pelean entre sí, hoy su corazón está sangrando. Esta tierra rota por pecados ignorados que dejamos en silencio sin nombrar. Voy un recorrido de suburbios a un silencio nocturno que se oculta en soledad. Voy hacia el vacío que se entrega entre quejidos, voy hacia una noche de temor. Voy hacia el encuentro de miserias que llenan de olvido a mi ciudad. Quiero regalarle una ventana a mi tierra, un aliento que le alivie su venada. Esta tierra no puede contenerse, ella lo que clama es por amor. Esta tierra llena de esperanzas necesita sanar su corazón. Esta tierra necesita otra ilusión, un trasplante de emoción, otra sentencia. Hoy sus hijos se pelean entre sí, hoy su corazón está sangrando. Esta tierra rota por pecados ignorados que dejamos en silencio sin nombrar.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Carmelo Ramirez and Gabriel Shakaji. We appreciate their talent. It's interesting because when I think about it being done in Spanish, and correct me, Gabriel, on the English translation, it means "I come from this land." I believe.
Yes.
Correct, Gabriel?
Yes. We
Yes.
wanted to take a second.
Yeah.
to-
Take a second, Gabriel. Please tell us.
Yeah. We just started with the music, I guess, because we felt like it. But these lyrics are really, really interesting and really heartfelt. And this song is by the great Aquiles Baez. He's a Venezuelan composer, guitar player and composer. And yeah, it's talking. I'm born in this land. I came from this land, and it's a bunch of like poetic kind of comparisons of the land and the struggle of the people uh, with yeah, well, just gonna read some of the lyrics. I was
Sure.
born in this land that is brown with brown with like its sorrows, and it draws yellow like a sun. I was born in this land that has the Caribbean light, and I bring a horizon that expands through the skies, and it has the blue like every sunrise. So it's like a poetic, yeah, okay, it's like a poetic way of saying many things about our people and our land. We're not let Carmela talk.
The song, we sang, or we performed this song in 2014 when we had a huge protest back home in Venezuela for our rights. This composer, basically the chorus, and that's the reason why we wanted to sing a protest song
Amen.
that also belongs to our own experience in when we were protesting and we were fighting for our rights in our homeland, no? And basically the subject in the chorus is this line needs another illusion, like another hope. uh, uh, um, o- right now all their childrens are fighting with each other, and the bleed of this nation, it's the heart of this nation is bleeding. This land is broken by ignored sins
Mhm.
that were left in silence, not avoiding. So we were fighting back home for our own rights, um, and the rights of the the people, and the sorry,
It's okay.
all the minorities that trusted, um, and they were disappointed, because the institutions in our country, they they were not doing addressing, not they were not making justice for minorities and for our people there. So I think right now it's what's going on for so long, and I think it,
We felt kind of identified with the situation now happening, and we protest together and try to unite the people and talk about these issues. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, guys. They're coming back, y'all. Thank you, Gabrielle, and thank you, Carmela. It's funny just hearing. It's just interesting. It's just how everything ties together. The interconnectedness of our bodies, interconnectedness of struggle, the interconnectedness of protest, the interconnectedness of hurt, the connectedness. Ooh, that's my New York accent. Connectedness of healing, and interconnectedness. That's connectedness of hope. So, without further ado, we'll go on to our next spoken word artist, Mr. Elvis Alves. Elvis Alves is an author and a poet. Some of his works include Bitter Melon in 2013, Oda Benga in 2017, and most recently in 2018. His title of his last work is I Am No Battlefield, But a Forest of Trees Growing. You can also find that on Amazon and Kindle. He lives in New York with his family. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce Mr. Elvis Alves doing two pieces, The Sainthood of Tupac and Here Comes the Sun.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you. And the first piece is called Sainthood of Tupac. And I read this in solidarity with the ongoing protests for racial equality and justice. Sainthood of Tupac. Police got all eyes on me, want to stop and frisk me in this country built on the backs of people that look like me. When will this misery stop? I'm calling for truce, but no one listens to me. They want to shoot or put me away in the penitentiary. That's how they make money for people that look like them. The rich start war, the poor fight it. Ain't that a bitch? When will you see that we are in the same boat? I can never kill a brother if he is close to me. Is this fantasy? Reality calls me to the streets with a gun on my waist. I ain't no saint, so I am not leaving Earth without bringing some of my enemies with me. There is a war in the streets so that the police can bother me, but there's none on poverty. Someone help me understand this mystery. I ain't no saint. There can't be peace without equal rights and justice. Holler if you hear me. It is time we take what was never given us. From slave ships, back of buses, chokeholds, and handcuffs. This shit must stop. I ain't no saint. Only God can judge me. Holler if you hear me. And the next piece is called Here Comes the Sun. And I wrote it when the current pandemic started. So here it is. Here comes the sun. The sun will come out to play eventually. Like everything hidden must be seen by the eyes of those looking for what is to come. We wake to a world unclothed due to a pandemic out of control, out of our control. Where did it begin? Perhaps the wrong question to ask when it is already here, knocking on every door that it can knock on. We keep inside to stop the spread. We look outside to remind ourselves of what is possible, that we can walk and go wherever without the fear of infection. But the sun will come, and when it does come, it will greet us with a warm hug. Thank you.
Thank you, Elvis. Here comes the sun, the sainthood of Tupac. The sun definitely speaks of the hope that's coming. Things are starting to shift, out here. Things like this happen, the pandemic, and things in situations like that only for a time in the season, but the sun does come out. The sun brings warmth. The sun brings renewal. The sun also brings reflection. Thank you, Elvis. Our last artist, before we, next to last introduction, our last artist is Mr. Randy Mason. Randy Mason is a hip-hop and spoken word artist, a pastor and a musician from the Bronx, from the Boogie Down, for those of you from New York. He draws from a deep well of stories and experiences to tell stories through song. His mission is to engage audiences in a way that is relevant, meaningful, and memorable. Now, Randy's going to be doing 3 pieces for us, and we're going to see him do No Faith, No Fun, a Boogie Down, and Shooting Stars. Please welcome our final artist, Mr. Randy Mason.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for having me, Pastor CJ, Pastor VJ, Evan, and everyone else. I'm excited to be here. Shout out to all the artists who have performed thus far. I'm definitely inspired and motivated. So, I'm a father and a husband. So shout out to my wife and to my kids. They're amazing, and I love to give them props and praise every chance I get. So this first song is called No Faith, No Fun, and it goes like this. No faith, no fun. If I know how the movie end, then I won't come. I want to be the one that's hollering home run. I never saw it coming, so stunned that I don't run. Clock ticking, the plot thickens. Got everything I need, but still feel like a lot's missing. I'm at the table trying to peek into God's kitchen. I came to the counter, but the sign said gone fishing. Can you smell what the rock's cooking? Too far into the future, I'm not looking. It's funny how for now feels like forever, but I know better. I'm not pulling, I'm not pushing anything out of its proper place, because everything has got a proper pace. Between the seasons and cycles, the seed is inside you, the sequence is vital. Wow. So let not your hands become idle, and let not your fans become idols. And let not your friends become rivals, and let not your rights become rifles. The right to doesn't make it right to. I write to feel what the kids do when they pop willies on the bicycle. How insightful. Life is delightful. Brief as a haiku. A breeze then a kite flew. Dreams got a pipe full. Might need a NyQuil. Lights go out, I mean, even on the Eiffel. I'm just an instrument. I'm not the maestro. Hope they don't get the wrong message like a typo. Two-step in a tightrope. This a disco and a dice roll. Life is like a dance with your eyes closed. Most of us would do much better with the blindfold. No faith, no fun. No faith, no fun. No faith, no fun. All right, last one's on y'all. Ready? No faith. Okay, here we go. This won't make me or break me. God already made me back in the 80s. Made me to break bread on break beats to make sure everybody in the place eat. Even if I'm famished, I'ma split my sandwich. I don't know what a fan is, only what the fam is. I don't know all the answers, only know I got a flow for the bro answers. From the compo to the campus, I ain't sweating, I ain't fretting any weapon they brandish. Can't do me no damage, cause every morning I wake up, I reach for the cannon. I'm trying to seek understanding. I mean, please understand it. I'm good where I'm standing. In the hood or in the Hamptons. Got this. Rock with anybody on the planet. Fred won a Fred Hammond. Who said I got no shot like a Glock that's jamming? Please, homeboy, we jamming. Ain't finna go with no tangents, flowing in tandem. Are we rapping or rambling? Hey, yo, rappers is random. I'm rapping an anthem. For you, me, and them. I mess around and bring a band in. I never bounce or abandon. I never leave anybody outstanding, cause everyone is outstanding. No faith, no fun. No faith, no fun. Y'all know the hook, right? No faith, no fun. Last one, say, no faith, no fun. I can hear you. I appreciate. I feel the energy, even though I don't see you. I feel you. I hear you. So yeah, that's called No Faith, No Fun. Hope you enjoy that. You can, find it everywhere, Spotify, iTunes, and all that great stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to be here, as I said earlier. And so I'm gonna just get into this next song. It's called actually called BOOGIE Down, which spells boogie down, which is where I'm from, the Bronx. And it goes like this. Oh, let me preface it by saying my wife and I have 6 beautiful children, 5 boys and 1 girl. And that way the first line will make more sense. Cool. All right, yo, I'm a dad, so it ain't even slang when I say what up, son. Got 6, try to treat each as if it were just one. Custom styles move crowds like when the bus come. The only way I'm getting to heaven is as a +1. So yo, pardon me if I ain't where the party be. I'm in the upper room like Dr. Shirley at Carnegie. With the pen, of course, pen and thoughts, no sorcery. God do talk to me, just not audibly. Still, I'd be hiding my hard heart in cart hearts. And it'd be really hard to flow through clogged arteries. But yo, hope to find love, no glossary. If the gift is greater than the gun, I got the armory. Yo, if you ever see my name up on the marquee, pray it ain't the day I missed the mark so markedly. I'm trying to brush up on my archery and artistry to let the whole world know. Ran round remarkably, kick it with the kids who couldn't tell me who their fathers be. Trying to show these kids what a husband and a father be. Tilling his soul soil and toiling responsibly. Where the farmers be, with medicine better than pharmacies. BOOGIE down, BOOGIE down, BOOGIE down. Came the uplift, then I came from uptown singing BOOGIE, BOOGIE. BOOGIE down. Came the uplift, and I came from uptown. Take it. Yo, that's a hip hop honor. High school dropout, rapping at Harvard. Couldn't see that with binoculars. Back when I was on the fast track to spot fur, my peoples turned weed, coke, crack to commerce. I told them, nah, we gon' rap at concerts. Don't need a sponsor. Yeah, all I ever needed was my word. Pele with the goals and I ain't never play soccer. I'm sorry that I ever made my mom and my pop hurt. Now I vow to make them proud and ain't about to be outward. You're part of me for the outburst. I just get excited about the matter like Albert. And no, I'm not faith without works. Bring the good book up in the building. That's my brother, the Bronxer. Levy hope they ready for the hip hop counselor who make a kid feel about as big as a bouncer, or make a teen feel about as tall as a tower, or make a young man want to lift up his trousers. Don't be a doubter. Don't be a downer. This is food for the soul served over the counter. I rock the mic, got the light and the power. Yo, I just want to say something that'll empower. Yo, I just want to say something fresher than powder. To see you make a face like you just say something sour. My inner hater be as loud as an announcer, so we gonna turn this up just a little bit louder. Words wash wounds like taking a shower. This is God's green earth, and I'm down with the founder, singing B-double-O-G-I-E, down B-double-O-G-I-E, down B-double-O-G-I-E. Came to uplift, then I came from uptown. I'm out of breath. You sing B-double-O-G-I-E, B-double-O-G-I-E, B-double-O-G-I-E. Came to uplift, then I came. Check it out. Not who I used to be, not who I want to be. Honestly, I'm both and just trying to grow responsibly. Ironically, my brokenness showed the glow that's inside of me. So if ever I seem lit, it's because I'm not seamless. My bodily biography is Japanese pottery. Kintsugi, my imperfections improve me. It's wild how the world woos me and then wounds me. I ain't offended by what mended, I've been mended. If anybody repenting, then it better be me first. I'm trying to rehearse these hurts in reverse. You do the data and research. Who needs work? That's everybody on God's green earth. Got sweat in my eye, but I'm going to kick the rhyme and try to play like I'm fly. I keep it going with it free for my brother C. J, we in the place. Everybody say, hey, and everything. All right. Praise God. That's B-double-O-G-I-E down, at least a rendition of it. Yeah, thank you guys for listening. I think that this is really important. What you all have curated here and bringing together community and artists and just amplifying people's voices, I think is especially pertinent in times like these. And so this last piece I'm gonna share is actually it's something I was writing today. Actually, I switched it up. My man Evan will be like, "What?" I switched it up a little bit. I was writing these rhymes this morning, just thinking about everything that's going on. And so it's actually just a few lines. It's not very long at all. So the working title is called Undone. And real quick, I just want to shout out my pops. You know what I'm saying? Like, my father is a black man. My father, you know what I'm saying, also happens to be a retired NYPD, you know what I'm saying, police officer. My father is somebody who loves Jesus, you know, and so it's from that experience and from that dynamic that I've been just trying to process you know, everything that's going on, and just, you know, filter everything through, through faith and through the scriptures, really. So I started, you know, writing these rhymes, and it goes like this. Is it a skin issue or a sin issue? Gun issue or a God issue? Hate issue or a heart issue? Is it their issue or our issue? Corona ain't alone. Come on, let's tell the truth. Racism is another public health issue, a crisis, and Christ is the cure that we could offer, though we seldom do. God, we need some healing. Praying and I'm kneeling. What's up with that killing? That's a different kind of kneeling. Play the hand that we were dealt, but who's doing the dealing? My faith is in the Father. He's familiar with the feeling. Thank you for listening. My name is Randy Mason. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at Randy Mason Music. And thank you for listening. Appreciate y'all.
Thank you, Randy, from the Boogie Down, man. I didn't know we share that in common. I'm also the son of a police officer and a man of faith as well. So filtering a lot of this through that is key for me as well. Thank you so much for blessing us with your talent, for the shout outs to your family. Interestingly enough, so our bodies are all tell a story, and those stories are connected to families and generations in the past and generations to come. So it's important to have healing. It's important to also have hope. Hope is key. You know, we live in a time when, not just now, but just oftentimes in a world, even before the pandemic, where people like to bathe in hopelessness, or nihilism, it's often called. But we here want to flip the script, and that's what the artists have been doing tonight. So before we go to like the closing song, which you're going to hear when you see the card at the end, you know, none of this would have been possible without at least Kinetic itself, for certain. And then this leading from that would have been possible without Dr. Cedric Johnson and his wife, Veronica Johnson. They have a few words they want to say to you. And we have them here. Hey.
What's up?
Hi, guys.
Hey, we just wanted to jump on for a second. I don't know about you all, but it's been a rough couple of weeks for me. On top of to have not only to navigate the pandemic and the president and partisan politics, but to add new incidents of police-related violence added on top of that, just added another layer of trauma and challenge as a person of color, as a Black man navigating America. So a large part of what we're seeking to do here at Kinetic is utilize the arts, because for us, the arts are both a community building space, and the arts, we believe, have therapeutic value. So I just want to say thank you to everyone, all of our artists that performed tonight. You all did. Absolutely. I know you all did. If you all didn't do anything, you did my soul well, and I needed this tonight. Yes, so you all have brought healing to my soul, I know, and I just want to thank each of you. We want to thank each of you from the bottom of our hearts. God bless all of you for bringing your gifts to this space. Thank you, Brother Evan, for coordinating, pulling all of this together. Brother Jonathan in the background, coordinating all of the technical aspects of the stream. I got to give a shout out to Eugene, who did the graphics. I know I'm stepping on your territory, Evan, but shout out to Eugene, who did all of the graphics. And happy birthday, Carrie.
Yes, happy birthday, Carrie.
So anything else? Is that about it?
No, just really appreciate all of your, participation in this event, and going forward, Godspeed to you guys. It's amazing to me. The words, the songs, the meanings of the songs, the words, everything was really uplifting. Thank you.
And since we can't handshake, I'll do Wakanda. Much love. Yes. Back to you, Evan.
Hey, thank you so much, Dr. Cedric and Mrs. Veronica Johnson. This is certainly wouldn't have been possible without you guys. Before we get to the end here, say thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. We really appreciate you. We hope this really touched you, moved you, spoke to you, inspired you, encouraged you, brought you from hurt to healing, and gave you hope, at least provided the presence of hope. So before we go, also want to, Dr. Cedric mentioned it, say shout out to Eugene Lee, who did all those wonderful cards you saw tonight, and also to Jonathan Lopez, who's been handling all the stage management pretty much when the screens flick back and forth. That's all on Jonathan. He don't want to show his face, but I'm going to say thank you. And we're all going to say thank you to him. We appreciate you, brother, for what you've done. And before we go, we're going to do a little curtain call. Jonathan's going to roll the curtain call around. And before we do that, Jonathan, let me just say this. Last card you're going to see is going to have everybody's social media on it. You'll be able to follow some of the artists, follow Kinetic as well. Kinetic on Facebook, Kinetic on Instagram. And one more thing. Before you see the last card, the last song you're going to hear is going to be Gabriel Chikaji and Carmela Ramirez doing A Pesar de Você. They're going to actually explain the meaning behind the song before the last card goes up. Once they start playing, you're going to see the last card. But let's do the curtain call, and I want everybody to say bye to you guys before we check out for the evening. There you go. There you go. Phil Allen Jr. in the house. Carrie Wallace. Juan Carlos. Mai Perkins. Gabrielle and Carmela. Oh, who else we seen? Oh, what are we missing? Oh, Elvis Alves. And Randy Mason.
Much love, y'all.
Thank you, y'all. All right. So, and Dr. Cedric and Mrs. Veronica Johnson, how you guys doing? God bless y'all. Thank y'all for coming out and hanging with us. Gabrielle, we're going to go to you. You're going to tell us about this last piece before you're going to see the final card as they start playing. God bless you. Thank you guys for coming out tonight.
This song is from Chico Buarque, and he wrote this song in the 60s when in Brazil they had a dictatorship that was killing Afro-Brazilian people in mass. And basically he wrote this song despite you, basically. And Chico Buarque was telling through the song to this power, no, to these people, this dictatorship, that despite all the hate and despite everything that he created, they will forgive and they will move on, and that everything, like there's always a new day, and they will be cultivating love and celebrate themselves, self-love, and he will understood that he had to no longer be in this position anymore. It's not possible. Hoje você e o que manda falou, tá falando, não tem discussão, não. A minha gente hoje anda falando de lado e olhando pro chão, viu? Você que inventou esse estado, inventou de inventar toda a escuridão. Você que inventou o pecado, que esqueceu-se de inventar o perdão. E apesar de você, amanhã há de ser outro dia. Eu pergunto a você, onde vai te esconder da enorme euforia? Como vai proibir quando o galo insistir em cantar? Água nova brotando e a gente se amando sem parar. Quando chegar o momento, esse meu sofrimento vou cobrar com juro, juro. Tudo esse amor reprimido, esse grito contidos de samba no escudo. Você que inventou a tristeza, ora tenha a fineza de desinventar. Você vai pagar e dobrado cada lágrima rolada nesse meu penar. Apesar de você, amanhã há de ser outro dia. Você vai ter que ver amanhã renascer, esbanhar poesia. Como vai se explicar, vendo o céu clarear